Hey, we're ready to read the third grade Blue group's book. It is called Waiting for Aunt Ro by Jeffrey Kreiner. Again, I want you to be able to read it yourself without me, so I'm going to put it up there for you to read at your own pace. Germaine was playing in the yard with her older sister Liza and their dog Mulligan when they heard their mother call out in pain. Quick, Liza yelled. I think Mama's hurt. They raced around the corner of the house and found Mama sitting on the ground, rubbing her ankle. It already looked swollen. I slipped on the stairs, Mama said. I think my ankle might be fractured. Liza, will you run next door and get Mrs. Jenkins? When Mrs. Jenkins arrived, she knew exactly what to do. We need to get you to the hospital right away, she told Mama. Germaine and Liza waited anxiously at the hospital. Finally, a nurse wheeled Mama into the waiting room. Mama had a big bandage on her ankle, but she wore a smile on her face. It isn't fractured, but it's sprained, Mama said. I'll have to stay in bed with my leg elevated for a couple of days. I wish I could help you out, but I'm going away for the weekend, Mrs. Jenkins said. That's okay, Mama said. I'll just call my sister Ro, and she'll drive down from Chicago. Ro and Chicago rhyme. Germaine and Liza cheered up as soon as they heard Aunt Ro's name. She could make even the worst times seem like a festive occasion. Later that evening, Mama called Aunt Ro. As they talked, Mama got a tense look on her face. I'm sure we'll be fine until then, Mama said to her sister. After she hung up the phone, Mama said Aunt Ro can't come until 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. I don't know what we'll do until then. I do, Liza said. You just stay in bed. Germaine and I will take care of everything. The next morning, Germaine and Liza got up earlier than usual. It was 10 hours until Aunt Ro would arrive, and there was a lot of work to do. Germaine thought they should start by making pancakes. Mama made pancakes every Saturday morning, and besides, Germaine was really hungry. Liza got out Mom's cookbook. It took a while, and the kitchen got a little messy, but soon they had mixed up all the ingredients. Then they got ready to cook. Ever since Liza had turned 16, she had been helping Mom in the kitchen. Liza knew how to safely, get that word, use the stove and the oven. But Germaine knew she wasn't the world's best cook. Hey, get an E for effort, right? Effort for trying. The cookbook recommended cooking pancakes on medium heat. What does that mean, Germaine asked. I thought heat was measured in degrees. We'll just have to guess at it, Liza said. Now, stay away from the stove. Mama only lets me use it. You're not old enough yet. She turned on the burners and put spoonfuls of batter on the griddle, and then they waited. When will they be done? Germaine asked after a few minutes. Then they saw the smoke rising up into the air. As fast as she could, Liza flipped the pancake, but it was too late. They were already burned. That's okay, Germaine said with a grin. Cereal is almost as good, and I can make that. I don't need a stove either. Germaine poured 3 bowls of cereal, 2 for him and Liza, and 1 for Mama. Germaine carried Mama's cereal upstairs. He spilled a little milk, but Mulligan cleaned it up. Liza opened the door to Mama's room, and Germaine carried in the cereal. My goodness, it's a delicious bowl of rainbow. I don't think we have the cereal. Zingers, Mama said. Germaine and Liza smiled. It was just 8 more hours until Aunt Ro arrived. So far, taking care of Mama was easy. Does not appear easy to me. Does it appear easy to you? When Germaine and Liza went back downstairs, they realized they had more work to do. The kitchen looked like a disaster area. Liza got out the broom and swept the flour and sugar off the floor. Germaine put the dishes in the dishwasher. He wasn't sure how much soap to add, but the dishes seemed pretty dirty. He filled the soap cups and added some extra soap just in case. By the time they finished loading the dishwasher, it was 11 o'clock. 7 more hours until Aunt Ro arrived. Mama is probably feeling a little sad because of her ankle. Maybe we can do something extra to cheer her up, Jermaine said. Liza agreed with Jermaine's idea. They decided to water and pull weeds in Mama's flower garden. That would make Mama feel better. Mama worked in her garden every day, and now that she couldn't, she'd worry about all her plants and flowers. Do you have a prediction on what's going to happen? Because I do. Uh-oh. Jermaine decided to do the weeding, and Liza got out the garden hose. Jermaine wasn't exactly sure which plants were weeds and which were flowers, but he did his best. Liza had just begun watering when she noticed something white and sudsy flowing out the kitchen door and across the porch. Oh no, the dishwasher, Liza shrieked. Dropping the hose as she ran for the door, the kitchen was overflowing with suds. Liza slid across the kitchen floor and turned off the sudsing dishwasher. It was too late. The whole kitchen was covered in suds. Even Mulligan was covered with the soapy foam. Jermaine, Liza yelled out the door, get in here! Look what you did! Just as Jermaine slid into the kitchen, they heard Mama calling from upstairs. Everything okay down there? Called Mama. Yes, Mama, called Liza back up the stairs. Everything's fine. Liza lowered her voice and spoke to her brother. Put Mulligan out in the yard and clean him off, and then come back in here and help me with this mess. It took almost an hour to clean up all the suds, but then it was time for lunch. Jermaine and Liza agreed they didn't want to cook anything fancy, so they made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You two are a big help. You must be exhausted, said Mama as she bit into her sandwich. But you'll be off the hook soon, Mama went on, trying to speak with a mouthful of peanut butter. Aunt Ro just called. She got an early start and should be here in about 2 hours. Nothing much could happen in 2 hours, right? At lunch, Liza decided they should take a rest. After lunch, Liza decided they could take a rest. She and Jermaine went downstairs. The house looked clean. The dishes were done. Aunt Ro would be proud of them. The kids went outside to take a last look at the garden, and that's when they saw Mulligan. The garden hose was still running, and it had turned the garden into a giant mud hole. Mulligan was a mess. Mulligan, yelled Jermaine, I just cleaned you an hour ago. Now look at you. And look at the garden, said Liza. Time to clean up again. It took Liza and Jermaine a while to catch Mulligan and even more time to wash him. And by the time they finished, their clothes were filthy. I guess it's time to do one last chore, the laundry, Liza said. Be sure to measure the detergent carefully, Jermaine remarked with a grin. This made Liza a little cross, but she carefully measured the recommended amount. Aunt Ro finally arrived at about 4 o'clock. The garden was watered and weeded, the house was clean, the dishes were clean, and so was the laundry. Everything looks great, Aunt Ro said, giving her sister a big kiss on the cheek. You can thank Liza and Jermaine for that, Mama said. Didn't you see them downstairs? Aunt Ro walked downstairs to the den, where she peeked inside the door. She realized she'd have to wait a little longer to thank her favorite niece and nephew. See, doing all of those mom duties is exhausting, so you should probably help out. Grab your paper.